Hey guys, another video. Characters level 96. Played one day, 18 hours, 16 minutes, and 58 seconds, died 9 times. Gear is pretty much the same. I changed my ES. Let me show you my auras. Same thing. Oh, by the way, I'm using Anger, Wrath, and Empower on the Anger and Wrath. You can use Herald, but then it will drop your, it's about the same damage, pretty much. But it will drop your mana a little bit because of rounding. So if you can't afford Empower, or like if I were to do this character again and not use Empower, it would just be a Herald of Thunder. So your mana is going to be a little bit lower, but it's fine. So keep that in mind. Gear is pretty much the same, didn't change much. I'll show you the skill tree changes. I'll do a map and talk about flask, vinktars, and what to be careful of. And then I'll show you some like skill tree optimizations. So I leveled like 3 times, and from last time I used to be spec'd into here, so I dropped these 3 and got these 2 and used that extra point along with 3 levels to get these 2 and these 2. So later on I'll show you what you can do with this. But the reason I dropped this stuff is just because I don't need damage. I don't need like attack speed. I just want ES at this point because I got killed almost to reflect today on a minus max map. So yeah, what happens is you drop 3 points, you get 2 points here. You lose 6 attack speed, but you gain 2% ES because 10 in is 2 ES. Also, it gives a little bit of mana. Anyways, enough talking. Let's see. Maybe I'll run like cancer map for you. These are just terrible to run. I don't have fun running these. Chill ground animals minus max. This is bad. Alright, well, I guess let's go. Minus max is scary. You have to watch out for minus max because reflect starts hurting a lot. I think reflect is 20%, and then on minus max you're taking like 40% damage or something ridiculous. Nearly 40% damage, so you're taking like 8% reflect damage, nearly. And 8% of like my stuff is actually pretty high. For example, top end goes to like 25. So, you know, 8% of 25 is quite a bit of damage. It's like what, man, I can't math. Wait, no, it's not 25. It's 25 times my multiplier, which is like 350. So, and then if you include shock and stuff, it starts getting to like 150. So 8% of that starts becoming like 10k, 12k. It gets really ridiculous later. So the reason I tell you this because I almost died to reflect today on minus 14. I shot like one reflect mob and a single reflect did like 8.5. So I just didn't want to risk it anymore, expecting more ES. I still don't think it's enough though. Oh god. So that's why I'm speccing into ES now instead of getting deeps. And like I'm using the ES gloves. So if you were to use something like face breakers, +1 face breakers like I was using for a while, then you probably would kill yourself at the end of the game. At the end game where you're like higher levels, and that's really bad when you don't want to lose the XP. Okay, so anyways, vinktars is pretty much the solution to all your reflect issues. The only problem is you actually have to press the flask, and that gets pretty sketchy if you screw up. Like right now you see I have no vinktars and I have like a timer running on my flask before it runs out, so I have to find the next pack, or else I risk shooting into a reflect pack. The next monster pack I find. So you gotta be very careful with vinktars. So this is what you do. You like when you're playing, make sure that you have your flask up when you go into a pack and shoot. And sometimes if you can make sure that it's not a reflect pack, maybe you don't need to pop your vinktars. But I recommend you pop it and just shoot in the pack and hope that the pack is like enough monsters to refill your flask. Like right now I don't have flasks, it's very bad. So for the same reason that you want to have your vinktars up, you spec into the flask nodes. Those things are very, very powerful for keeping your flask up, and you get reduced flash charge use belt all for the sake of keeping your vinktars up, because it's the best solution to reflect right now. All the other solutions to reflect are just really poor. Life leech won't even let you out leech the reflect. As you can see, I'm reflecting 8% of the damage. Leech is only 2 on life leech, and even if you get Scion, you're still gonna out reflect the leech. So those are not viable solutions, especially in the end game maps where maybe not minus max, but even just regular stuff, you can't even out leech the reflect. So the only good solution is like vinktars, from what I can tell. That's why I invest so heavily into the tree and the vinktars. It looks a little stretched, like I'm going everywhere. I'm going pierce nose, which I'll talk about after this. I'm going vinktars, so I have to get all the flask nodes. It looks really all over the place, and I'm starting as Inquisitor, so it looks like a whole bunch of points are wasted, which they are, but they're necessary because otherwise the build just doesn't work. If you don't go Templar, for example, you're no longer Inquisitor. You don't do pure damage. You don't melt things. Inquisitor is worth it because you do pure damage when it counts. And if you're not Vinktar spec and you don't get flask nodes, you're not going to survive reflect. Either that, or you're just not going to do enough damage to kill monsters. And in the same way, if you don't get Pierce, it's terrible too. So let me talk about, I tried no Pierce again. It was so bad. I felt like I didn't kill anything. 100% Pierce I feel is mandatory. So I spec 8 nodes into that Pierce node, and should be worth. I didn't even put my points into the 3-point jewel or the power charge, the 2-point power charge either. I just don't think it's worth it. But anyways, I guess I'll show you this tropical islands too. So, I mean, this character later on is just not going to change very much in gear, I think. It's pretty hard to buy gear. If you're purchasing rings and stuff, I would recommend you get 80 plus resist ring with accuracy and weapon elemental. My accuracy is 2500 almost, 90% chance to hit. It should be good enough. It's such a pain to get accuracy and weapon elemental. So be sure to do that when you buy rings. And if you could get an amulet with accuracy, but amulet damage is heavily favored towards multis, so if you can get multi on your amulet, it's pretty good. See this? I don't have vinktars up. You do not want to shoot into that until you have vinktars up. Otherwise, your ES might be obliterated, especially on minus max maps. I guess you don't have to worry too much because my reflect that I took today was a very high end roll on the lightning damage, I think. So normally you don't have that issue, or sometimes you block. I have a little bit of block too, 28 block, so that's good, but it's not consistent enough to rely on completely, and that's why you gotta be careful. Let's make sure you're always conscious of what your flask are, where your flask are at. Otherwise, you're gonna dumpster yourself. So, yeah. I'm speccing into ES from now on. I don't feel comfortable with this kind of ES, no mitigation. But I'll tell you how it's going. I think the gear is going to stay the same. Oh yeah, by the way, I use Alchemist. I guess this will be the last thing I talk about. I use Alchemist Quicksilver just for the more move speed. It refills fast enough. I want to get a higher roll, but that's later. Yeah, so these are my stats, and I'll see you guys next time. Keep you updated on this character. If you have any questions, feel free to ask below in the comments, and peace out.